keeping with the same image, what I want to do now is I want to render this sphere and I want to make it look like it's three-dimensional. So I'm probably going to do it in a blue colour because that's what I happen to have here with me. Now let me just see. Again, see the way I'm testing the colours here, just to see probably how they all go together actually, and to see how light this one is, how dark this one is, you know, compared to each other, to get a sense of how I'm going to build this up. Now I have made a decision, if you like, that the light is coming in and hitting this maybe about here. So let's just imagine that that's the direction of the light, and that it's hitting the sphere about here. So we're probably going to have a white spot on that. So I'm going to put my line around just to counteract the bleed. And I'm aware that the brown of the floor has bled into this sphere, but it shouldn't actually matter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start as I mean to go on, and I'm putting in the shading on this in a directional manner. Okay, so as I shade it and as I build it up, I'm shading it like it is a sphere. I'm not blocking it in a flat way. Now you can do that if you want. It just depends on what sort of effect you want to achieve. You know, if you want to render in a very graphic fashion, then you can just block everything in with literally just the colours and then apply blocks of light and shade. But at the moment I'm just going to build this up to make it look like it's three-dimensional. Okay, so I've got that part in. Now this is the colour I actually wanted to be, this colour. So I'm just going to go around it again. And every time I do this, every time I put another layer around, I'm building a picture of how it's going to be. I'm going to stop it here because I reckon that it's going to be lighter there. So I'm just going to block my colours in again. So I reckon that this is going to come out kind of something like that. That's where the bulk of that blue colour is going to be perceived. Now, when you're drawing a sphere, you have to think about how the light impacts it. So the light is going to hit it here. This is going to be lighter. You're going to have another part here in this area here, which is probably going to be a combination of the lighter colour and this nice turquoise colour. And then you're going to have the body of the colour here. Often with the sphere you have a light part just about here, because the light reflects back off the surface onto it just under it. And then you will have the colour, or the turquoise, here again, like that. And often you have a very dark line just where the sphere meets the ground. I'll put that in now in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to work with these colours now for 1 second. I just want to see what I have actually. I suppose I should have done that first. Okay, so I have this colour blue. So, you know, as the light hits the sphere, our lightest part is here, the medium part is somewhere here, and then you're going to have areas of a slightly darker blue, so I'm just going to layer that in there like this, and I'm going to have a look at it and see, does that work? Is that working? Now you can see that I'm building it up. I build it up in layers. Like I apply the pencil quite lightly first, and then I build it up as I feel that it's making sense in some way. Now I'm going to attempt to put in that darker layer there. And now you can see that the bleed from the floor doesn't really matter that much, because the darker area on the sphere is going to cover it. And that's what I mean by go easy on yourselves, be a bit forgiving. If it goes a little bit wrong, you can probably rectify it if you don't panic about it. Okay, So I'm getting somewhere with this now. Now I have a lighter colour here and I just want to see how that works over that turquoise. Okay, yeah, so my sense is that I need a little bit more turquoise coming up here. So I'm going to move that around. And I'm going to hit this with a little bit of turquoise as it goes towards the wooden floor. And then I'm going to go over the pencil, which is, a lot of people don't go over the pencil with the marker because the marker will pick up the colour of the pencil. It doesn't bother me though. It's kind of by whatever means, I think. So let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, if you just do this, you'll get rid of the pencil on the marker anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to hit that there, so now we have that, oh, pencil broken. Now we have that very kind of high contrast there between the hit of light on the sphere and the very dark background. I'm just going to sharpen that again. Now I'm just going to try and just blend it a bit. You don't need to blend it either, you know, I mean, even as it is there, it's absolutely fine. I just think that it needs just a little something there, and that needs to be taken down a little bit, because you wouldn't see quite that much lightness. You just get a hint of lightness as the light reflects back up from the floor onto that sphere. And also there's an area here that's going to be a little darker. I'm going to build that now. Now another thing you can do here is, if you imagine that your light is coming in this direction, that it's going to cast a certain amount of shadow. I'm just going to estimate that. You're not going to get it 100% right, so we're just going to estimate what that light would be. Let's just see, maybe if I do it a little bit like that. So I'm literally estimating that. I think the inner one is probably a little more accurate. So I'm just going to put that in regular pencil first, just to see if that works. That works okay. And now I'm going to use that sort of warm brown, and often what you find is there'll be a bit very close to the bottom of the sphere that will be very, very dark, like that. Now, so then we put in our little bit of shading, so we can get a sense of the contrast between the back wall and the very light area where the light is hitting the sphere, and the contrast here of the very dark piece where the sphere casts that shadow on the wooden floor, and then as it draws out like that, it lightens a little bit. What you'll find in rendering is contrast is a very important thing to work with. That often you can make something pop or stand out by what's beside it, and it's really the darkness of this wall in contrast to the very light part of the sphere that makes it stand out or makes it pop. And the same goes for the piece of shading there, right at the very bottom. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for a very dark colour, if I have one, just to put a very dark line in under my sphere here, and maybe here, just to make it pop a little bit more. Let me see what I have. Don't really have a very dark colour. Sometimes a colour like a purple might just do it. Yeah, it's given a little bit of an effect. Okay, so that's pretty much how you would approach your sphere. Now you can rub that out if you want. I'll leave it in for the moment just so you can see where I'm estimating the light is hitting that. And equally, you know, if you wanted to in the end, you could go around all the way around here with the lighter blue and leave that white. But again, like I said, I just want you to see where the light is coming. For the next part of the video, I'll rub it out.